This is an illustration from 1942 by the Italian artist Fortunino Matania. It is entitled The Gruesome Cup, and it refers to the large cup in the shape of a skull that the standing lady is holding. Judging by the reaction of the other people at the table, there must be an intriguing story behind this illustration. It is based on a true historical story, and that is what this video is about. The woman is called Rosamund, and she was a princess. Her father, Cunimund, was the king of the Gepids, a kingdom in the area of modern Romania, Hungary and Serbia. But the Gepids were at war with the kingdom of the Lombards, located to the west, and they were losing. This all took place in the 6th century, and finally in the year 567 the Gepids were defeated. King Cunimund was decapitated, and Princess Rosamund, together with many other Gepids, was taken prisoner. But things took a surprising turn when Albion, the king of the Lombards, decided to take Princess Rosamund as his wife. But this was not a marriage out of love. Rosamund hated him, and Alboin was an extremely cruel man. He married her to establish a bond with the remaining Gepid people and to produce a male heir to his throne. And then we get to the event in artworks like the illustration we started the video with. King Alboin organized a large feast, and after a few too many drinks, he came up with the idea that Rosamund should drink from the skull of her father. He usually carried the skull around his belt, but this seemed a good occasion to put it to use. According to the source, Alboin would have invited her to merrily drink with her father. Having no choice, Rosamund lifts the cup and closes her eyes, telling herself that she would avenge the murder of her father later on. The other guests at the table are horrified by this episode. It is not entirely clear who the other guests exactly are, but given the reaction of the man at the head of the table, it is unlikely that he is the king. Peter Paul Rubens and his workshop did clearly paint the king ordering his wife to drink from the gruesome cup. However, while the banquet is displayed in all its splendor, the cup does not clearly resemble a skull. Perhaps an artistic choice of Rubens, who may have assumed that the skull was used to create a more conventional chalice. In the 17th century, the Italian artist Pietro della Vecchia captured the scene very clearly by zooming in at the two protagonists, showing how Alboin orders Rosamund to drink from the skull cup. So, now we are left with the revenge of Rosamund, captured here by Charles Landseer, the brother of the famous animal painter Edwin Landseer. Rosamund had arranged for some conspirators to kill him. She had unbolted the bedroom door and had fastened Alboin's sword to his scabbard, such that he could not use it. He only had a stool to defend himself, but this was not enough against the spears of the conspirators. The 19th century British artist Frederick Sandys painted the aftermath of the killing of King Alboin. We see the dead king in his bed in the background, still with the stool in front of the bed. And Rosamund goes back to the skull of her father. Surrounded by a crucifix and a rosary, she kisses the skull as if to tell her father that she avenged his death. Now, to be honest, the story of the gruesome cup is only based on a single source, which is the book History of the Lombards, written by Paul the Deacon in the 8th century. A lot of information in this book can be verified, so it's definitely not a book full of fantastical stories, but it is the only source referencing the story of the skull cup. However, the use of a skull as a drinking cup was not entirely uncommon during that time, and it was actually believed by some that by drinking from an enemy's skull, you would take their vital strength. So whether this really happened or not, I'm not sure, but it remains an intriguing story nevertheless, having inspired several artists over time to create wonderful paintings. Oh, And before I finish, Rosamund would remarry and would try to poison her new husband. But the plan did not work out and she was forced to drink her own poison. Another intriguing story, perhaps for another time. Well, I hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you have any thoughts or extra information about this, or if you are aware of any other artworks representing this story, please leave a comment down below. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.